yeah, this is the crossover we love to see. Welcome into First Take. Christine Williamson here for Molly, Shay, and Matt in the building. That was a great little intro.
You did. You nailed it.
Yeah, you did nail it.
As hosts and anchors, we're sitting here judging you on all of that.
Very. Yeah, not your time to talk yet. Okay.
Right, she's the host.
I'm
not
host.
your time yet.
One host today.
That's
One
right.
host today. Also, Bart Scott here, hanging out.
Four-part harmony.
That's right. I love it. You guys excited? Ready?
Let's go.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. We start things off not too far from where we are right now. The New York Jets have been in a standoff with Haason Reddick, and yesterday, the Pro Bowler officially requested a trade. Reddick, unhappy with his contract, has missed 21 days of training camp, racking up a $50,000 fine per day. The holdout has cost him $1.7 million total so far. The Jets immediately released a statement in response. Jets GM Joe Douglas saying, "We have informed Haason that we will not trade him, that he is expected to be here with his teammates, and that he will continue to be fined per the CBA if he does not report. Since the trade discussions back in March, we have been clear, direct, and consistent with our position. Our focus will remain on the guys we have here as we prepare for the regular season." Matt Berry,
Yes.
I'm going to start with you. Can the Jets win the AFC East without Reddick?
So here's what I love about what just happened on this network. In the history of this network, we have never led a Jets conversation with Haason Reddick.
Fair.
Ever. It's always Aaron Rodgers at minicamp, Aaron Rodgers hanging out in Egypt, Aaron Rodgers in dark spaces, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers. This is the first time we've talked about Haason Reddick without anything to do with what the Jets are going to do this season. The answer to the question is yes. The Jets can win the AFC East because, again, it's an Aaron Rodgers team. Yep. Last year, this defense, third in total defense, eighth in sacks. They were a quarterback away from winning the division last year. So if you look at where Haason Reddick is, I get it, prime of his career, 29 years old, 50.5 sacks the last 4 seasons. All the bona fides are there. But the Jets' success, as we've detailed on this network day in and day out, it's an Aaron Rodgers team in an offensive league. So I don't think Haason Reddick, it's a deal, yes. Is it a division killer? Absolutely not.
So I guess then my answer would be like you just answered what I was going to say, and the fact that they can absolutely not win their division without Haason Reddick, because the only sure bet of this entire Jets team is their defense. This is what we hang our hat on in terms of if you are a Jets fan or someone that follows the Jets closely, is the fact that their defense was ranked so highly the past few years. They do have all of these players that are coming back in hopes to win a championship, but what we haven't proven yet is your quarterback going to be okay? Can this offense be run? You brought in Nathaniel Hackett to run the offense for essentially Aaron Rodgers. You have no idea if this is going to work. You don't, quite frankly, you aren't even sure your head coach is a good fit there yet. You have not seen the results of that. And so therefore, if you're going to hang your hat on a defense that doesn't have a pass rusher on the edge that you absolutely need is in terms of a veteran presence, how could you be sure that they're going to go out and win the division when your only sure bet now is up in the air? If you look at pass rushers or players that had 10 or more sacks over the last 4 seasons, there's 2 people on the list, Myles Garrett and Haason Reddick. That's the list. He has shown that he himself can take the defense to another level. And not to mention, you let your best pass rusher basically walk to the Eagles for nothing because you thought you were getting Haason Reddick. And so how could you think that you're going to go out and win the division without someone that's going to anchor your defense and do what is your bread and butter and what Robert Saleh essentially wants to do, which is get after the opposing quarterback?
Well, when you look at the Jets and you look at what they went through last year and how they finished so high, you talk about how they were third in defense, you talk about eighth in sacks. Well, this was a team that played, either behind all the time, where teams were able to run the ball and they weren't one-dimensional. You talk about one of the problems that Rex had is that we continue to draft defensive players. And the problem is how you fix the defense is by improving your offense. With what the personnel has, with the addition of Mike Williams to go along with Garrett Wilson, you talk about, Braylon Allen and what he looked like being that bruiser and that in-between the tackles guy, the guy to get Brees type of a break. You talk about this defense going to be playing from the lead. So they're going to have the opportunity for guys like Will McDonald, who's a kind of a one-trick pony right now.
How do you know they're going to be playing with the lead?
Because they have Aaron Rodgers. But
you don't even know what Aaron Rodgers is. He's a 40-plus-year-old quarterback who's coming off an Achilles injury for the first time in his career.
Listen, they basically had a cone-playing quarterback last year, and they were able to win 7 games and still beat the Buffalo Bills, the team that you predict is going to win the division, last year. The Jets always play the Buffalo Bills well, and that's with, being handicapped because they don't have a great quarterback. You put a guy like Aaron Rodgers there. If the Jets would have averaged 21 points a game, which is the bare minimum, they were last in every metric when you think about offense last year. If they can just be middle of the pack, this defense, because on the outside they have 2 lockdown corners. I think they have the best nickel in all of football, and Michael Carter II. They're going to allow a guy like Will McDonald, who's a tremendous pass rusher, but what he isn't is a every down type of defensive end right now. You talk about Jermaine Johnson, what he's been able to do. Hopefully he can take the next step. Last year, 8 sacks, was one of the most complete, and very bright spots for that defense. They're going to be able to generate pressure simply because they can, lock down on the outside. And listen, Haason Reddick's going to have to show up at some point, because if he doesn't show up, they're going to still own his rights to next year. He's 29 years old. He's going to be 30. I think they figure a way to get it figured out. I understand his argument, but I also understand the Jets and Joe Douglas standing on business saying, hey, until you come here, we're not going to discuss your contract.
So, Shay,
go ahead.
Shay, when you look at the Jets' big picture, we gave you the statistics defensively. They were brilliant last year.
Yeah.
They were in contention for most of the year for a wild card spot with the remedial offense.
Right.
Okay, you add Aaron Rodgers and an offense that was 31st in the league last year. What do we talk about in the AFC East? It's quite simple. Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa.
Yep.
What were we talking about last year with the Jets? Zach Wilson? And so
Trevor Siemian.
Right. And so you
Go
take
on down the list. Keep
Quinn
going with
and
the
Williams,
quarterbacks.
they've got defensive stars. Do you want a guy that averages 12.5, 13? Yeah, that's not the argument. The argument is the one piece you didn't have in place last year with a young receiver who I believe in Garrett Wilson's going to be one of the top 5-10 receivers in the league with a good quarterback. The one thing they didn't have last year when they were still competitive was the Hall of Fame quarterback. You add him into a mix with the defense that was already good. I get Huff's gone. He's out. I get it. Young pass rushers for the Jets. I get it. They're going to have to step up if Haason Reddick's not there. But for me, for the Jets, as it's always been, they made the move to compete with one player, and it was number 8, and he hasn't been there.
Okay, so you brought it all the way back around to Aaron Rodgers, the thing that you started out saying that
That's
you
right.
didn't want to start with. And then you just said it. You have young pass rushers on the corners that are not proven, as Bart pointed out earlier. And so then you have to look to what is going to happen with Haason Reddick. I don't know a lot, but I feel like if you're unhappy with your contract situation, you hold out or hold in. It doesn't matter, okay? Case in point, CeeDee Lamb. He hasn't asked for a trade. He just simply isn't participating or being around his team because he's not happy with his contract. Why is Haason Reddick going to the point of not just not showing up to camp or continuing to hold out, but saying, I want to trade? That means you no longer want to be with the organization.
It's the only play he has left. He has no cards because the leverage is all on the Jets because they own his rights. And if he holds out, does a Le'Veon Bell, he's still going to be on the roster the following year. He's going to miss on an accredited year. When the season starts, that fine goes to $700,000. That's a game check. That's $700,000. Now, that's a lot to stomach. I think if he gets there, they find a way to push some money into his contract this year. And I understand his gripe. His gripe is, like you said, he's had more sacks, 40 or 50 sacks in 4 years. He's only
10 or more in the last 4 years.
Right. It's only one player that you can say that to. In this town, in this market, Brian Burns, came out with a 5-year, $150 million thing. That's double what Haason is going to make this year. But Haason really has no leg to stand on. So asking for a trade is the only thing, only play that he has left, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to force the Jets to pay him by embarrassing the organization.
Can I just ask a question?
You may.
We're all in agreement that the Jets defense is what is the answer this year, okay? They had this in place, and they're bringing in the championship caliber quarterback that's going to change.
Von Miller.
Okay, speaking of closers, on the defensive side of the ball, could you not say Haason Reddick is equal to what you would call a closer? He is the only pass rusher in the NFL to have 18.5 sacks in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like, he is what gives your defense insurance when things are going to be tight and it's down to the wire. Not having him there as an anchor matters, especially for the psyche of someone like Aaron Rodgers. Yes.
What do we talk about with the Kansas City Chiefs?
Patrick Mahomes. Their offense.
And the
off scripts.
And the offense. This is an offensive league where the rules are structured to where the offenses succeed and the defenses keep you in games. In this division, and I brought it up, Patriots don't count this year. Patriots are rebuilding. With the other two teams with Tua and Josh Allen, all you need to do, you gave me the stat, I think it was 21 points a game. All you need to do is stay in shootouts.
Right.
That's it. You're not staying in shootouts with Haason Reddick. You're staying in shootouts with Aaron Rodgers and your talent.
How not so? Haason Reddick could slow down the other team.
But with this defense, the Jets aren't going to give up those type of yardage, right? They're not going to give up 24 points a game. Like Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to give this defense an opportunity to have a rest. Listen, last year they closed with Quincy Williams, coming off the edge and blitzing, right? So there's more ways to skin a cat, more than one way to skin a cat. I think they have an opportunity this year. This is the best roster I feel Aaron Rodgers has since he won a Super Bowl, top to bottom, even with or without Haason Reddick. What they've done on the offensive side of the ball, with the offensive line, with 2 running backs and maybe 3 when you think about Isaiah Davis and what he showed. Mike Williams, Allen Lazard looks like he can play again.
They're loaded.
Right, they're loaded. This is arguably one of the best rosters in football with or without Haason Reddick.
And I'm not saying this because Greeny's next door. Like, I know he's out there listening to this.
Maybe it's slightly disgruntled by Haason Reddick, which makes my point even further. I'm just saying your sure bet has been your defense. And if it's no longer a sure bet, all of the arguments go out.
You're acting like they lost the unit
everything.
that came. They lost one dude.
You've lost, essentially. We don't know. Well, apparently he's going to be there no matter what.
Well, but they have the best secondary. They still have Quentin Williams.
But you don't have an elite pass rusher.
Jermaine Johnson is an elite pass rusher.
He's young.
He's going into his 3rd year.
He's still so young.
You know what you upgraded?
Michael Parsons in what year?
Oh, please. Let's not compare him to Micah Parsons.
Bom, Olimpíadas pré-histórica. Pinturas rupestres de 40.000 anos mostram esportes. Bom, compare. Guia turístico no Parque Nacional Serra da Capivara, Patrimônio Cultural da Humanidade, brinca com semelhança entre pinturas e modalidade presentes nos Jogos de Paris. Bom, em uma das visitas guiadas que conduz no Parque Nacional Serra da Capivara, no sul do Piauí, há mais de 20 anos, o guia turístico Ari Lima notou uma semelhança, no caso, uma das pinturas rupestres no local lembrava os saltos da medalhista Rebeca Andrade. Surgiu aí a ideia de levantar outras fotografias do acerto próprio e, com um pouco de licença poética, brincar nas redes sociais com as semelhanças com o esporte olímpico. E realmente, gente, vou ter que concordar, parece mesmo com o da Rebeca. Enfim, o Parque Nacional, dá pra vocês verem, gente? Eu acho que sim, né? Acho que dá pra vocês verem aqui a foto. O Parque Nacional da Serra da Capivara, conhecido como o berço do homem americano, conta mais de 1.200 sítios arqueológicos, né, com arte rupestre. Pinturas feitas em rochas e paredes de caverna há milhares de anos. Tombado como Patrimônio Cultural da Humanidade pelo Unesco desde a década de 1990. O local ainda tem cânions, né, gigantescos que chegam a 200 metros, gente, de altura, além de belíssimos platos. Ele também fez do tênis de mesa, tá bom, gente? Brincando, né? Ari Lima é a guia turístico do local. Em uma visita guiada na Toca da Fumaça, um dos sítios arqueológicos, né, do parque, reparou que uma das pinturas da parede pareciam com projeções de saltos semelhantes ao praticados pelos atletas olímpicas. Ali o guia viu uma oportunidade de mostrar o parque de uma forma diferente. Instantaneamente fizemos a alusão ao salto artístico da Rebeca Andrade, que todos nós desejávamos que arrebentasse nas Olimpíadas. Ali tive a ideia de garimpar, né, fotos e registros do meu acervo, que nos reportassem a modalidade olímpica. Bom, gente, essa foi a notícia. Espero que vocês tenham gostado e entendido. Um beijo e até a próxima. Bom, gente, o trailer Moonwalk em Marte. Ginasta brilha na ginástica rítmica ao som de Michael Jackson. É isso mesmo, galera. A alemã e ucraniana usaram músicas do cantor nas apresentações delas, né? E encaminharam vagas na final do indivíduo geral. Disputas continuam ainda nesta quinta-feira. Aí, sono, galera, que vocês não estão entendendo. Juro. Ai, meu Deus. Deus, tira esse sono de mim aqui, enquanto eu leio, porque tá bocejando aqui pra vocês. É bocejando ou bocejando que fala? Enfim. Enfim, gente, As estrelas, né, da estreia da ginástica rítmica nas Olimpíadas de Paris foi Michael Jackson. Pelas classificatórias do individual, nesta quinta-feira, duas ginastas chegaram a atenção ao escolherem músicas do rei do pop nas representações. Eita, meu Deus, é apresentações. Não sei de onde que estou tirando representações. Enfim, Michael Jackson pareceu dar sorte para as atletas que encaminharam, né, gente, para a vaga na decisão após a primeira etapa das rotações. Promessa de medalha nessas Olimpíadas. A alemã Daja Wafolomer também homenageou o cantor através da coreografia e também da roupa. Não podemos mostrar aqui, né, o vídeo para vocês, mas temos a foto. Bom, a Darja, como fala somente a Darja, da Alemanha, iniciou a primeira rotação. Eita, Jesus! Calma aí, galera, vamos botar aqui. Meu Deus. A Alemanha, né, a menina lá da Alemanha, iniciou a primeira rotação na bola e homenageou Michael Jackson até na roupa e também na coreografia. A ginasta se apresentou com a música In the Closet, acho que assim que fala, e fez uma ótima série, imitando alguns passos do cantor na parte da coreografia, como o icônico Moonwalk, eu acho que assim que fala, né? O colante, né, no caso da alemã, trazia uma referência da memorável jaqueta dourada e prata que Michael Jackson tinha, no caso um dos looks mais famosos do rei do pop. Gente, achei muito criativo também da parte dela, juro, mas enfim, essa foi a notícia, espero que todos tenham entendido, peço perdão aí, um beijo e até a próxima.